Welcome. Welcome to the instructional update meeting for elementary principals. This is our December edition. We know that this is an incredibly busy time of the year, and we're so grateful for you for joining us today. And we want to remind you that we record this. So if you're listening or multitasking today, feel confident in knowing that a recording will be sent after the fact in case you'd like to review any of the information shared. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. A quick overview of today's agenda. We're going to start with some special education updates. We're going to hear from our colleague on state assessment and accountability updates. We also have literacy and MTSS as well as multilingual, and we're always going to offer you that opportunity to ask questions in the chat or to come off mute and ask those questions in this space as well. Next. If this is the first time you are joining us, you may not be familiar with the Wayne RESA Update Report. This is a monthly publication that comes out. It gets sent directly to curriculum directors and superintendents, but we want to make sure that you're in the loop as well. A lot of this may not apply directly to your position, but there are so many great components of this update that I feel like will benefit you and maybe even worth forwarding on to other staff members. For example, there's always a segment for our library and media specialist. That's a great piece just to forward on if you have the privilege of having a library media specialist in your building. Next, that I'm going to turn it over to Kate Pearson.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate Pearson. I'm the Essential Elements Consultant within our Special Education Department at Wayne RESA. We're really excited. We just recently published and released our Early Childhood Special Education Guidance and Best Practices document. So this publication is really to support self-contained ECP and ECSE classrooms across the county. So we did a ton of work with ECP classrooms and teachers and ASD coaches from every region in Wayne County to kind of put together the best practices, the how-tos, so that we can continue to kind of really strive for excellence in our early childhood programming, especially those for students with really complex needs. So we're really excited that it's finally published. We've been working on it for about a year now. So it's officially out. If you want to go to the next slide, I just showcase where you can find it. There's a link to it. It's going to be on our Wayne RESA website under the Special Education tab. So when you scroll down a little bit of ways, we have our MERS rules, we have the Wayne County plan, we have Section 504 toolkit, and then we have our best practices document. And if you have any questions after kind of reviewing it, or you need support within your ECP settings, please let Dr. Kelly Anderson, Lisa Perugi, or I know. We would be really happy to support you with that. Next slide, please. And I'm just wanting to highlight our CS department is growing, it's changing. We have a lot of new members in our team, but I wanted to highlight our three amazing leaders, Dr. Taterial, Beth Santer, and Adrian Kubicki. They are fantastic human beings. They're leading our special education department here at RESA. They come from a plethora of knowledge and experience, and we're just really happy to have them. They're doing really great work across the county, but I wanted to highlight them here. They're super responsive, so please reach out if you need anything at all within your buildings. And then we get a lot of questions regarding our assistive technology supporting students with communication needs, both in general ed settings and in special education settings. So I wanted to highlight their kind of main email and what line that your buildings and your teams are able to contact. But Laura, Pam, Amber, and Barry come with a lot of experience both as educators and SLPs. They're a tremendous resource that we just want to make sure that we're utilizing. So if you have any need at all in any of your classrooms on any consultations in relation to communication, assistive tech, we'd be happy to help you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm Cindy Taraskevich. I'm going to transition over to state assessment and accountability updates. General assessment updates, an umbrella over all of the assessments. Pre-ID does open January 5th in OEAA, so please continue to pre-ID through the testing window. That data is getting pulled in from your MSDS. So as students enroll in drop, you want to make sure that's as clean as possible. That data does get tied back to accountability. There is a video there linked from MDE regarding pre-ID. In case you need a resource on how to do directions for pre-ID, you can always reach out to me also. There is required security training for staff. So district and building test coordinators, they are required to read the integrity guide and complete the Michigan virtual modules. Test administrators and proctors, they are required to either read the specific section of the integrity guide and or complete the Michigan virtual modules. And then the tech coordinators read Appendix E of the integrity guide. Those are both linked to the right. And then there are some documents, resources linked to the top with your important dates. Next slide, please. Regarding MSTEP, MyAccess, and WIDA, we have your important dates linked on the right. And then there were some trainings available. The DRC readiness webinar recording and slide deck is available. There are some changes for the DRC, so those need to be noted. And then they had an MSTEP grade 8 and 11 webinar. And then some updates regarding WIDA. The pre-ID is open in OEAA. Again, remember to continue to pre-ID through the testing window. Your materials will arrive in the districts on 1/22 that week, and then the test window opens for WIDA on 1/26. For text-to-speech for MSTEP, your stacked Spanish, mathematics, and social studies, so that's Spanish on one side, English on the other, that will be moving to text-to-speech instead of the audio. It will replace the audio recording. And then offsite test administration request window for MSTEP and MyAccess, that's opening in OEAA on January 5th. The definition for offsite for MSTEP and MyAccess is if you're testing outside of the district. So you can test inside the district. You do not need an offsite test request. Next slide, please. Just a reminder, benchmark assessment reimbursement, the deadline is the 19th. That is tomorrow for your fall mode of instruction and your data submission for that fall data to get to the benchmark, to get to the My Data Hub. Please log into the cockpit, select features, and then select benchmark assessment legislation report. Make sure you have no errors. If you have errors, please put in a ticket to my service desk to help. Without that data and fall mode of instruction, you do not get that reimbursement funding. The application in Nexus will open up in early 2026. Next slide, please. And then annual education report. They should have the actual dates posted today in the spotlight later this afternoon, but those usually go out to be posted and opened up in the My School Data Portal in mid-December. And then you can start posting mid-January, and then the deadline is mid-February. The cover letters are available. They are linked there. Districts and schools must update the cover letters and post them with the link or the PDF to the district and school website. Next slide. Thank you. And my student voice survey is open. This is a 5 to 10 minute online perception survey. It's designed for students, educators, and parents, and is fully translated. You get school and district level reports with help from Wayne RESA to analyze the data after. There are 4 windows, and the link to sign up is available there. And the last slide I have, thank you. If you are part of the Atlas Consortium, there is an Atlas Curriculum Collaboration Day. That will be at Ted Scott on March 25th from 4 to 8 with no cost. The registration link is there. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Bennett, Literacy Consultant here at Wayne RESA. We have some updates for you. As you know, we have the dyslexia law front and center, and we're preparing to support you and those in our county with this. And so we wanted to make sure you were aware that earlier this month there was a memo sent out that outlined this information here. So it states that districts must, by September 30th, 2026, have a curriculum that is listed on the state website, and that list is going to be updated in January. And if your curriculum is not aligned with one of those that are listed, that you must provide notification to parents or guardians in those grades of K through 5. and that information below talks about what needs to be shared with parents. And so based off of the dyslexia law, we have a lot of supports that we're providing or want to connect you with. So if you can click the next slide. One of the supports that we're offering is a dyslexia book study, and it has it's a virtual option. The book, we're going to study the book Conquering Dyslexia, and we'll offer 3 different cohorts, and there is a link to this in the slides to the SMORE that gives more information. Next slide, please. Also, with that update, not only are the curriculum lists going to be updated on the state website, but also the list of dyslexia screeners. So as that comes out and more information is available, we'll continue to update you and provide supports on those screeners. Next slide. With the dyslexia law, it states that our instruction needs to reflect, needs to be deep within the science of reading as well as structured literacy. So we just wanted to take a minute just to point out structured literacy. For those of you, this is just a new vocabulary word. I feel like there's always new vocabulary in education, and so this definition of structured literacy really comes from the International Dyslexia Association, and it's defined. This graphic here really helps understand the how and the what. So instruction is explicit, it's systematic and cumulative and diagnostic. So it really follows that gradual release model. It follows a systemic instruction and diagnostic, really thinking about how the assessments are helping us differentiate our instruction. So we have some other resources. We have a link in the slides that'll take you to a very short article. And then if you go to the next slide, there's also some online modules from MyMTSS that goes deep into structured literacy. And if you, although it's a virtual session from 3:30 to 5:30, you also get all the resources afterwards. So even if the time slot isn't perfect for you or your teachers, you'll still have some very valuable information gained from those modules. Next slide. And so as we're working with MESA provides a lot of support to us in the state of Michigan, trying to help us understand how all of these practices come together. And I just wanted to share this visual of this umbrella because really, as you all are familiar with the literacy essentials, that alone won't really support our students in moving our students forward. Curriculum resources, letters alone, all of these things alone really isn't like the overall picture of what literacy instruction should be, but together all of these things, and of course supporting through those literacy coaching and professional development, will really help our students and our teachers to be aligned with these practices. So next slide. Some really valuable resources on the MESA and Gallon website are the essential practices. So I just linked those for you. There are some updates. The 4 through 5 essentials have been updated with some really great new practices. You'll notice if you kind of look at the old ones with the new ones, there's really more of an emphasis of really embedding that knowledge building through science and social studies. The K through 3 modules also, I would say K5 modules really make sure that we're really thinking through that lens of equity. And so the EduPaths, I know many of you may have new teachers in your building or thinking about how do we pull this work all together. So there's some different ways to use these resources. So there's these online modules, of course, teachers can go through on their own or even through at a PLC. Also, if you're pulling together your leadership team, the school-wide organizational practices and screening tool is a great way for you to kind of think about where you are as a school and pick a focus for your work as you're building throughout the second half of your school year, but also into next school year. And you can click to the next one. Next slide, please. And then the playbooks and slides are really a nice tool to go in depth in understanding the essentials. The playbooks have really nice videos and connections to the professional articles, and then along with that playbook that matches each essential there are slides. So I've been a literacy coach, a teacher, and an elementary principal, and I was always trying to think about how I can embed different learning throughout, either in my newsletter or follow up from a observation, or having a after school PD or an all day PD. And so these could really support you in that way, especially if you're focused in on certain strategies like the foundational skills in Essentials 3 and 4. So I just invite you to take a look at those and think about how you could use those resources as an instructional leader of your school. Next slide, please. And so we also have letters training available to you, and I just wanted to bring this up as it's available to all pre-K through 6 educators, and the new cohorts are open, and it really will give your teachers a very solid foundation of those foundational skills. So those are available, and all those modules are flexible, are online, and so we wanted to make sure you were aware of that as well. And next slide. And some more things we're supporting here at Wayne RESA. We have the U-Fly virtual sessions coming up, the refreshers, and it'll also support progress monitoring and differentiation. So that's an after-school virtual session coming up. And you can click to the next slide. We also have our How to Become a Better Writing Teacher. I know a lot of our work through the state and dyslexia laws really bringing reading to the forefront, but we can't forget about writing, because it really solidifies students' understanding, and is a tool for them. So these resources, this book study is available to you coming in February. Next slide. As well as having Carl Anderson will be here all day April 8th. So we're hoping that we'll get more folks to join us. I know sometimes it's hard to have your teachers out of the building for a full day, but we really want to encourage those of you that are able to do so to send a teacher. It really will bring their learning to a whole nother level, and then hopefully they can also share that between their PLC, but as a building learning, professional learning. And next slide. And just to make sure you're aware of our literacy newsletter, there's a link there to sign up to get this in your mail, in your inbox. And please check out our latest edition in December. And I'll hand it over to Sandra.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, my cursor was going between my laptop and my desktop, so I finally landed on my desktop where my audio is. Good morning. Thank you for being here with us this morning. My name is Sandra Brock, and I support MTSS at RESA. So I'm going to break this down to two components. We've been supporting districts that really are MTSS 101. So what that means is maybe you're still forming an MTSS team. Maybe you have a team, but you're really trying to figure out those important pieces. What does tier 1 look like? So we have resources for both. The other end of the spectrum would be maybe you have an MTSS team and you guys are diving in, you're planning, it's very systematic, and you need guidance on kind of those boots on the ground pieces because you're up and running. So if you're really at MTSS 101, we have some documents here for you that I'm going to share. If you don't mind opening maybe the first one, Anna, that would be awesome. An example would be that we have this guidance document. And this is a great thing to share with if you have a new MTSS team, or if you're a principal and this is your building team, really kind of identifying what is MTSS and how does it look different than RTI and Child Find, some of those things that we've done in the past. So that tier 1 board adopted curriculum that all students should have access to. Tier 2 is really going to be that targeted support, which can also mean push into the classroom, right? It doesn't always mean pulling students out of the classroom. It really should be embedded in that tier 1 classroom instruction. And then tier 3 Really, that would be super small group or even individual one-on-one support for students that are really not at benchmark and need a lot of support getting there. We are also supporting districts with assessment literacy. So that could be, PSAT, iReady, NWA, supporting staffs and principals on what reports to pull and what those reports can tell you and how you can use them to really move MTSS in your district. So go ahead and if you don't mind closing that. I'm going to show a second example. So if you don't mind pulling up the entrance and exit criteria example. So this would be an example if a district has an MTSS team, they're really systemic, they're solid in their approach, but they really have to iron out that benchmark assessment criteria. So this is a kindergarten example for elementary. And then we also built in a seventh grade example for secondary. But this would be, we have our team, we have our benchmark assessments. What score, RID score, or percentile score in those assessments really identify students that are solid in tier one and those students who maybe need a little bit of tier two support and those students who need tier three support. And how do we know when when the students are ready to be moved, to a specific tier from another tier? So again, just some guidance documents. I'm going to show one more if we can just go back to the slide. And they're all in the presentation for you. Thank you. Yes, you read my mind if you could pull up the rubric. So this is a great example of using research to drive MTSS. So many of you, I'm sure, read ASCD. We use Hanover here. A lot of districts, a lot of our local districts do have memberships to Hanover. It's just really good research-based articles and information around the MTSS process. So Hanover has a 7-page rubric for ascertaining how your MTSS systems are going. As a former principal, if I had given my staff a 7-page rubric, they probably would have looked at me like I was crazy. So I took the 7-page rubric and I made it into a 1-pager. So this is a great example of, just again, a RESA guidance document. If you have a district MTSS team or a building MTSS team, they can really kind of look at those core fundamental components for gauging where their MTSS process is at. So this can really look different in different ways. In terms of our support, we do hold in-house meetings here. We have also partnered with districts because what we are finding in Wayne County is we have districts that are at MTSS 101 and really kind of fine-tuning and figuring out what that looks like and how do they move from RTI all the way to we have a district MTSS team, we have the processes, we just need support with assessment literacy. So again, all the resources are on your slide. We are here to help you. We are in the process of updating our website. So we hope, within the new year, we're going to build some of these guidance documents into the website so that you don't have to go to a slide. You can just go to our website and they'll be there. And if you need support, definitely reach out. We would love to, have you come here or again, we can meet via Zoom or we can come there. So thank you again and have a wonderful holiday.
Good morning. I'm Kaylin Willaton. I'm one of the multilingual consultants here at Wayne RESA. And you have my contact information there, as everyone's is to reach out to us. So I'm here to talk to you a bit about Section 41 guidelines and your multilingual learners and what all this means for you. So legislation that went into effect last March 1st of 2025 to be exact, requires that multilingual learners at certain WIDA English language proficiency levels receive a certain amount of service minutes per day or per week, week equivalent, if that's what has to be done because of scheduling. So you can see here that the kids that we call entering or our true beginners at levels 1.0 through 1.9 are supposed to be receiving 60 minutes a day of English language development services or the weekly equivalent, and everybody else should be receiving 30 minutes a day or the weekly equivalent. The reason that ends at 4.7 is because on the state mandated assessment, WIDA Access, the exit criteria right now is that you exit it once you score a composite score of 4.8. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, Many districts are doing what we call designated ELD or designated English language development. That tends to be a class or it tends to be a pull-out group or maybe a push-in group, but where the certified person who has an ESL or a bilingual endorsement is working with groups of children. Sometimes, depending on your context, that's what you have to do. Also, it is required for students at proficiency levels 1.0 to 1.9 that at least, I would say, I don't think it's actually stipulated, but out of that 60 minutes a day, 30, or again, weekly equivalent dedicated to this, where they can really have their language acquisition piece really focused on at their level, would be ideal. But for their other time, and really for everyone else, most of the time, they benefit most from what we call integrated ELD or integrated English language development. And that is when content and language are really integrated and really intertwined with a specific language lens as well as a content lens on everything that's being done in the classroom. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. One is by having a dually endorsed teacher. So you have, your elementary certified teacher with an ESL or a bilingual endorsement. Or something that we are really stressing is co-teaching, where you would have your ELD teacher who has the ESL or bilingual endorsement working and truly co-teaching with the third grade teacher or the fifth grade teacher or whatever for certain blocks or certain parts of the day. That really outside of dual language programs, which we would also be happy to support you with, but cannot be done in many of the contexts that we have in our districts and PSAs. Co-teaching shows more student growth, and I can provide you with research around that if you would like to see it. So, what might this look like? Depending again on your context and how many multilingual learners you have in your building, even though these kind of things are being worked on district wide, I really think it's important for elementary principals to kind of know what's going on in their buildings and what could be done, and kind of thinking of systems that could make this happen. Because of course, where students are placed is very, very important. Also, any kind of existing systems you had. So I'm just going to mention briefly a couple of my co-teaching experiences, which were very powerful. At the time, I was co-teaching during an ELA block in third grade and fifth grade, and I had a colleague who was doing it for fourth grade. And we were still doing designated ELD pull-out groups in early L. I'll just be honest about that. But one of the things that allowed that to happen was that in different grade levels, they didn't always maybe have the exact same time they were teaching a subject, but all the classroom teachers were teaching like ELA at the same time. They were all teaching math at the same time. Fifth grade, of course, was doing it because, as often happens, fifth grade was actually switching some of the kids to kind of prep them for middle school. But even third grade, even though they were, class contained, they all had the same time to do it. That also allowed us, if we thought that a student who was in another classroom might benefit for something we were doing, as long as we could kind of informally work with that teacher to help them, I don't know, with report cards and METMO standards, mastered and all of that, they were okay for certain different units of study for us to integrate them in someone else's class. So it just, if the system is set up, you can have a lot of flexibility around that and can have a very successful experience. Again, then you also become the teacher who's doing things with sometimes whole class, right? So you're just another teacher in the room, and kids are not missing instruction by being pulled into another group, and they're really getting their English language development needs met in the best way possible. Next slide, please. So whoever in your district is doing your Section 41 application, they will be required to submit a staffing plan. All of this needs to be turned in by January 15th of 2026. The staffing plan, we are considered to be in year one. There are going to be simple bullet points at this point in time, and it doesn't mean that that staffing plan can't change as people kind of look over their systems and what's happening, and maybe develop something even better than what they have. So that might shift from year to year, but they will be required to answer a question about, are they meeting all the service minutes of the kids first? And then if not, how do they plan to do so over the next 4 years? We know that there's a shortage of teachers with ESL and bilingual endorsements. And so some of that can be around building capacity, like providing tuition reimbursement. for instance, to staff. If someone is on a basic permit while they are beginning their coursework, they are allowed to be the ELD teacher right now today, right? So there are lots of ways to think about this and to kind of look at your context and needs and what would make the most sense, right? Um, Big point here is even if your district decides not to take Section 41 funds, it doesn't mean that they don't have to follow this requirement. This is a mandate. It's tied to Section 41 because that is the funding around multilingual learners. But if not, they're going to keep everything in a nice little folder somewhere to be able to show MDE in another way. They just won't be submitting it with the application. Next slide, please. So the monitoring indicator that is for program evaluation for this year, and this gets to be in a report that gets submitted next October, is not about you explicitly because it's actually called Comprehensive High School. If you are interested anyway in details, you can contact me and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And there are MDE things linked to the slide. But I don't want everyone just to be like, okay, I'm going to shove that off because you still are included in this, even if you are not the focus of the evaluation for what's happening in 25 and 26. MDE is working on more training around EL staffing and EL program evaluation. Some of that will be coming out this spring, and it will be about the effectiveness of staffing and instruction in your program for your multilingual learners, right? That will be available. Rain RESA and other ISDs will be providing technical assistance around all of this. If right now you are representing a district or a PSA that is K-8 only, that actually will be your evaluating indicator for this year, and I am happy to talk to you about what that could look like at another time. I do not have information from MDE that explicitly states that this will be the monitoring indicator for 26, 27, but I would place money on it if I were a betting woman. So it's something to be thinking about happening to get a start on this year because it will be a focus next year at all levels. You know, that would be K to 12 and not just what we're calling comprehensive high school. So having said all of that, I really want to emphasize, though, I don't know of any district that is fully meeting the minutes. There's probably somebody, but there's very few. So this is a thing that everyone is working on. And we recognize that this is a great challenge, but we also would like you to look at it as an opportunity to really look at your systems through a multilingual lens and see where things can be made better. And we are at RESA are very, very happy to be your thought partners in this. And, you know, to meet and talk about any of your needs around all of this. I certainly know that it's a lot. And I believe that's all for me today. Yes, thank you and have a wonderful break.
So, as part of our format, we continue to ask for feedback on information that you would like to hear more about. So, if you can click on the next slide, there were some questions around resources around a positive school culture. And so I just wanted to share some of these things with you. This EduPaths course, the Magic Mix, is great for brand new teachers. It's great for teachers, even teachers that have been in the classroom for years. So I encourage you to share that with your staff. And I just also want to direct you back to our PBIS website here at Wayne RESA. And we do have some upcoming professional learning on May 6th that'll be online that'll cover our PBIS Tier 1. Okay, next slide. And then also, I encourage you to click on this and ask for some professional learning delivered to your inbox. It comes in a really user-friendly format, as you can see on the right, and it kind of has those headlines of what you're looking for. So if you choose what you want to come into your inbox from the MyMTSS website, it'll come in that format, and it's just a great resource, and that's actually how I found that Magic Mix. So so that's there for you, as well as an upcoming school-wide support series that the link is on those slides for you. And then next, also some questions around classroom management. Transitions are always a tough time, And we know that that's sometimes when our students struggle. And so here's a really quick infographic for you. Feel free to grab that and put that in your newsletter. It comes from an article on Edutopia, which I love Edutopia. It's really quick and easy reads for staff. So, and that's linked in our slides too to go a little more in depth. And one more. And I did consult with our special ed department on this one, and they directed me to some of these resources about toileting support. So I know I was just in a building last year, and I've gone through this myself as a principal, trying to find ways to support our kindergarten students that or students with special needs that do not have that have toileting needs. So these are really great resources for you, and I hope those help you. And also on our next slide, please continue to share your feedback and questions that you have. Also the opportunity, if you'd like a follow-up, if you put your name and email in our Google form here, we can follow up with you. So we invite you to stay on and ask any questions, as well as fill out this Google form so that we make sure that our meetings are responsive to your needs. So thank you for joining us today.